What's goody? It's your host Jay Rose as always, and the most insane NBA trade deadline in NBA history has just passed by last night or yesterday afternoon around 3 p.m. That's when it ended officially. We had 63 different players moved, 9 different all-star / former all-star players moved. It was a lot of, the NBA pretty much just had a fantasy draft. Everybody's all over the place, and I'm going to get into who had the best offseason, give some teams some grades. Let's get into it. Over 90% of the people that watch my content are not subscribed, so if you're messing with the videos, please hit that sub button and the noti bell so you'll get notified every time I upload. But let's get back to the hoops. All right, so we got this Bleacher Report article grading every team's 2025 NBA trade deadline. I'm not worried about what Bleacher Report gave them. I'm going to give them my own ratings, obviously, but we're going to get into this. So for the Atlanta Hawks, they got Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, and then that's two first round pick swaps. I'm not a big fan of this trade. Whoever does better out of Utah and Cleveland, you get that pick for these pick swaps. That literally means you're gonna get Cleveland's pick because they're contenders, and you just gave them the only piece to the missing puzzle that they needed. And you got Trae Young, no help. You didn't really get any younger. Terrence Mann is not young. Terrence Mann is like 27, 28 years old. Bones Highland, he's not super great. I'm glad that he's going to get some opportunity to be on the court for the Hawks, but I don't like anything that they did here. They got rid of 2 really, really decent players, and they didn't really get much back in return, so I got to give the Hawks like a D. This is not great, and I know Trae Young is pissed off because they were having a decent year. Like, Jalen Johnson got hurt. He's out for the season, but DeAndre Hunter came into his own. Trae Young is trying to keep them afloat, and then you just trade absolutely everyone who's anyone, pretty much. You still have Clint Capella on this team taking up a really big chunk of your salary cap when you have Onyeka Okongwu, so I'm just not a big fan. I'm giving them a D. You got some picks. You got Bones Highland, I guess, but this is just not great. Not great. Celtics didn't do anything. Teams that didn't really do much, we're just going to skip that. Charlotte got Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, Yusuf Nurkic, a 2026 first rounder, the least favorable of Phoenix, Washington, and Orlando. Whoa, that's a great pick, actually. It should be this Washington. Now, I'm not a huge fan of them giving up Mark Williams and Nick Richards, who's not here. They traded Nick Richards a little bit before the trade deadline. He's on the Suns. They have no center. Their center is Yusuf Nurkic. They traded 2 young, really, really decent centers, and they just don't have a young big anymore to pair with LaMelo Ball. I do like the Cam Reddish and Dalton Knecht pickups. I wouldn't give it. I mean, okay, so Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, you got a center in return, I guess. So I'll give you that, and you got this really good pick. You also got 2 other picks. This is a swap, and then you got a second. So I mean, it's cool. I'll give them a B. I'm not a big fan of you trading your young centers that were actually playing really good minutes for you, but it was not a bad haul for what you gave up. The Bulls, you get an F, dog. You get an F, dog. I'm not going to lie. The fact that the culmination of the fact that you let DeMar DeRozan walk, you traded Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, who's not too bad this season, but still you could have gotten more in return for that. And you trade Zach LaVine. In the total of that, you got 0 picks. You got your own first round pick back that you were going to get anyways. You got nothing in return for these 3 guys. You traded many, many, many picks away to get Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan, and now we're just looking at what you get back in return. Cleveland, I got to give them an A. There's only one move to really be made with the season that they're having, and it was to pick up a better 3-man, and that's exactly what they did. They got a guy who can potentially put up 20 points a game. His defense is very, very sound. He can shoot the ball, and that is exactly what you want. Nobody cares about these picks right now because you guys are contending, and DeAndre Hunter, he absolutely helps with your cause. Like, when you're playing a team like the Celtics and they're trying to force swaps onto your small guards, now you have Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, who are 3 really, really great defenders to help you on that side of the ball. I still do think that the size mismatch with their 2 small guards can be an issue at times against certain teams, but this absolutely aids that for sure. So I'll give them an A. Absolutely. The Dallas Mavericks F-. Okay. So here's how I feel about this trade. After I've had a couple of days to really process and you know, weigh out what both sides have given up. Y'all got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, Caleb Martin. Anthony Davis, obviously, superstar player. Cool. Max Christie, he's going to give you really good production. Cool. Caleb Martin, I don't really know what Caleb Martin's going to bring, to be completely frank. You gave up Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, Quentin Grimes. Now, I can't say F because you did get a superstar back in return. A lot of people are harping on the fact that you didn't get any picks back, and I agree. You should have gotten more draft capital back, but I don't agree that Anthony Davis in like 4 picks was probably it. I think you should have for sure gotten Dalton Connect, and you for sure should have gotten a second first rounder if you were going to make this deal. It should have been AD, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, and 2 firsts. That's how I feel about it. That's a big package. That's a huge package, but I think that's worth it for Luka. I'm not going to lie to you. So you let them keep that pick. You let them keep Dalton Connect, and you allow the Lakers to make more moves to turn themselves into a contender as well by not making them give you more assets for your franchise starting player, right? Now, in terms of the people saying, oh, this makes them better, I don't think this makes them better. I think that this makes them more or less probably the same. You've gotten better in certain areas, but you objectively got worse in other areas. Your defense is better. Your playmaking is worse. You're gonna have, like, when it really gets down to it and you have to crack down in the playoffs, you don't have that many ball handlers anymore. You don't have that much perimeter scoring anymore, right? You lost that with Luka. You lost the playmaking, you lost the scoring. You got rebounding defense with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis can obviously still put the ball in the hoop, but Luka's just a different beast on that side of the ball, right? So I think at best, you call this move lateral. I don't think they got this much better. There's stuff that they're missing now, regardless. So I feel like the fact that you gave up your young star for probably a 2-year championship window, and it's more a lateral move than an upgrade, in my opinion. The highest I can give you is a C, right? F- I think is a little bit much. Detroit got KJ Martin, Lindy Waters, Josh Richardson, and Dennis Schroeder, and I actually do like this. The Pistons are putting together like a really good campaign this year compared to last year. They're about 500. They're looking to make the playoffs or at least a play-in tournament. So I do like that they're trying to make themselves have more depth. Lindy Waters is a very underrated shooter that can come off the bench for them. Josh Richardson is going to be a kind of a 3-and-D kind of guy. And then they got Dennis Schroeder to have another ball handler off the bench. And I really do like that, especially since Jaden Ivey has been in and out the entire season. So I'll give you guys a B for that. I think they didn't trade anything and they got all this back. Crazy work. Crazy work. So if you guys get to the playoffs, and that's an if at the moment, the Western Conference is still stacked. The Warriors are behind the 8 ball right now. I don't think they're in the play-in tournament. I think they're a 500 team, and that's not cutting it in the Western Conference. So you need Jimmy to come in and really ball out. Now, Jimmy might be more motivated to come out and really play hard during the regular season on this team, but that's to be seen. We don't know that yet. Jimmy Butler has consistently coasted in the regular season year after year after year after year, right? You need Jimmy Butler to be Jimmy Butler in the regular season on this team. You need it. You need it. There's no way that this team who just traded away Wiggs and D. Schroeder wasn't that good. Honestly, they didn't give up a ton. You want to see this pick stay with y'all, and that's why it's top 10 protected, because they don't even know if this is going to work out this season. This is the kind of deal where if you know for a fact you're going to contend, this pick is not protected. But they're like, we're kind of taking a swing at the fence because this is what was available. So Jimmy Butler's here. They signed him to like a $60 million a year contract for 2 years, and I think that's crazy. Like, he's making $60 million a year. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. For a 36-year-old Jimmy Butler, that's a lot, man. So I think all in all, giving them a B is fine. But I can see a world where this is like a C- trade, or maybe a D trade. I can see a world where this doesn't work out and you just gave away Wiggs and a first round pick and Lindy Waters for an aging star who's making $60 million a year now. I can see a world where that's an issue come next year and the season after that, but I'll give them a B for now. I think it'll work out. If they make the playoffs, Jimmy and Steph is going to be crazy to deal with, so I'll give them a B. I think it'll work out. If they make the playoffs, Jimmy and Steph is going to be crazy to deal with, so I'll give them a B. The Los Angeles Lakers, y'all get an A+, man. I don't think Rob Pelinka could have done much better in this trade deadline. You get rid of AD, who they said they weren't going to re-sign this offseason. You got rid of Dalton Connect, which I did not like. I wanted them to keep Dalton Connect, but you get a really stud center. You get a 16 and 10 guy. You get a double machine. He's averaging like 20 something points in the year 2025. So I've heard there's a lot of injury concerns with Mark Williams. I'm a little familiar, but I'm not like super locked in with Mark Williams, so we'll see what happens with that. But regardless, y'all just jump-started your future. They didn't know what they were going to get out of LeBron and AD for these past couple of years. They didn't know like really where that was going to lead them. And regardless of where it leads you this year or next year, if Luka comes back and re-signs to a contract for however long, and Luka's a really loyal guy, so I think if he really builds the culture here in LA, he's going to stay. So that being said, you just secured yourself 10 years of at least being good. Simple. You secured yourself 10 years of at least being good. And I don't understand why all these ESPN analysts, especially Charles Barkley, are shitting on the Lakers like they're not 8-2 in their last 10 without Anthony Davis, and obviously Luka hasn't played yet. So you add one of the best offensive players in the NBA to a team that's already steamrolling. You add a nice offensive center. I don't know how this team is not looked at as being a contender. I think this is one of the best rosters in the league. When you have LeBron and Luka, when they start clicking, that's going to be an issue. I think the Mavericks have a roster that's one of the best in the league right now, for sure. And I think the Lakers do as well. I think this trade, especially for the next season or two, both teams should be really, really good in competing in the Western Conference. So I'll give them an A+. I don't think Rob Pelinka could have done much better. I don't like this. I really don't like this. They got rid of Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia for Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis. They also got rid of a first-round pick. I'm not too familiar with Johnny Davis, and Marvin Bagley has left a lot to be desired throughout his entire NBA career, not only with him not playing games, but also him just not being that good when he's playing. So you giving up Jake LaRavia, who's really proven to give you good minutes, is really weird to me, especially you're giving up a first-round pick for that as well, and Marcus Smart. Like, this is not an equal trade in any way, shape, or form. Like, y'all overpaid really, really bad. Yeah, this is an F trade, in my opinion. The Miami Heat, honestly, I'm surprised that y'all even got what y'all got. Davion Mitchell is a really, really good, nice, young defensive player who should fit the Heat culture really well. And I also feel the same about Wiggs. He's going to come in, play really hard, and I think he's going to fit that culture really, really well. They got Wiggs, they got Mitchell, they got a first-round pick out of it. Out of a disgruntled Jimmy Butler, who I did not think really was going to be interested in, getting them the best deal possible, and they really came out with a deal that's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm not mad at that. For the way that this entire season went, you'd expect them to get a worse package, so I'll give them a B for this. Not gonna lie, I'll give them a B. Actually, I'll give him an A. I honestly did not think they were going to get a good package back for Jimmy Butler at all. I thought they were going to end up with Bradley Beal. The Milwaukee Bucks, they trade Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, DeLon Wright, Marjon Beauchamp, and a 2028 first. They got Kyle Kuzma, Jericho Sims, Kevin Porter, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. I don't think Jericho Sims, he didn't get that many minutes on the Knicks, who are depleted on the bench pretty much, so I don't think he's going to play much. Kevin Porter Jr. is a really decent ball handler. I don't think he's that great. I think his percentages are not great either. Kuzma, same thing, like just a really inefficient scorer. I see what they're trying to do, like just at least mix things up. Like, you know what I'm saying? They got younger. I didn't like them giving up AJ Johnson. That was like their best shooter on the team. Marjon Beauchamp, I really wanted him to build into his own as well for Milwaukee. I think Kyle Kuzma could be decent, but I think his three-point shot is leaving a lot to be desired this year. Just his overall efficiency isn't that good. I'd probably give this trade like a C. I feel like this is more or less going to be lateral. I don't think they gain too much doing this, to be honest. Especially you have Giannis, you have Kuzma, you have Portis. There's a lot of guys who you're not really expecting to be out on the perimeter, and you need that in today's NBA, especially when you're getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4 people who can shoot the ball. I'm just not a huge fan of this. I'm going to give him a C. I can see the potential with Kuzma, but not a great deal. NOLA, you got Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk, and you traded Daniel Tice, and you also traded Brandon Ingram. So I'm going to give you a C, dog. It might even be a D. Like, you didn't really get much here. You got a 2026 first, Indiana v Toronto, top 4 protected. 2025 second round pick. You got Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk. I don't really have much else to say to this. You traded an all-star player, and I don't really think you got much in return for your squad. Like, obviously, you're not competing this season. I feel like y'all should probably just blow up this entire team. Like, you can get something for CJ, or you could have got something for CJ. Obviously, Zion, I don't see why they're still on the team if this is the case. Like, Brandon Ingram's out of here. There's not really much going on here. DeJounte Murray's gone. He tore his Achilles. So I say just give it a rest. Like, the squad that you tried to build, it's not working. Your best bet was when you had Lonzo, Josh Hart, BI, and Zion, and that was a lifetime ago already. So I just feel like it's time to give it up, to be honest. Orlando, you get an F because y'all needed to make a deal and you didn't. So there's that. Sacramento, y'all honestly, this trade is like, so this top 14 protected pick is going to turn into nothing. That's not hitting for you. 2027 first round pick from San Antonio is nothing because they're going to be good. 2031 from Minnesota, that could turn into something. We don't know where Minnesota is going to be in 2031, but they still have Ant on their team, so I assume they're not going to be horrible. So these are like 3 nothing first round picks, to be honest. You got Zach LaVine, Jonas, and Jake LaRavia. You gave up your franchise player. It's like a C. You made the Chicago Bulls. Your defense is really, really bad. Like, you got Zach LaVine, who's not a good defender. You got Jonas Valanciunas, who's not a good defender. I like the Jake LaRavia pickup. The draft capital, honestly, is just for show. It's not going to turn into much. So, I mean, yeah, this is not a great deal. You did get a lot in return, but it's just not going to keep you afloat. You made your team extremely mid. Like, you made what was a mid team extremely mid. This is like a C trade. I lied. There's context. You know how many players you should have gotten in this trade? You could have gotten anybody from Sohan, Vassell, Castle. You should have come away with somebody for De'Aaron Fox. If San Antonio did not give you any of those players, there's no reason why you trade De'Aaron Fox there. Plain and simple. When you don't get any of their nice young players or really any of their real assets back in return, that was dumb. So you guys get an F. Because there's context. That's horrible. The Spurs, yeah, you get an A. You got rid of your worst contract and a bunch of stuff that you really didn't care about. And you get De'Aaron Fox, J-Mac, Patrick Baldwin. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. You kept Castle and all your young pieces. You brought in a point guard to play with Wemby. And you guys should be really, really good for some years. He wants to play here. He specifically asked to play here. So I assume he's going to sign here. And now y'all got Fox and Wemby for the foreseeable future. So that's a really, really good tandem. Not much else to say about that. That's definitely an A. Toronto, y'all gave up Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and Davion Mitchell. And you got Brandon Ingram, PJ Tucker, James Wiseman. I think they're in a weird spot. This could either be good or it could be mid. I like RJ. I like Scotty Barnes. I'm not sure how all 3 of these players will mesh together. We'll see how they mesh. It's just a really weird trade. This is not a place I would have expected Brandon Ingram to be, but I'm not mad at it. I like that they did make a deal to try to make themselves better. I'll give them a B+ for that. Those were all of the important trades, to be honest. The best moves of this trade deadline were definitely LA and Cleveland, in my opinion. I've never seen so many players moved in the middle of the year. Like, this is going to be a crazy second half of the NBA season. I'm really, really hyped for that. I'm hyped to watch the Lakers. I'm hyped to watch the Mavericks. I'm hyped to watch the new look Warriors. I'm hyped to watch the new look Raptors. I'm hyped to watch Wemby and Fox. Like, there's a lot going on here. It's a lot of new teams, a lot of new tandems. We're going to see how they pan out. And this playoffs is going to go crazy. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.